What was your personal experience during Hurricanes Irma and Maria?
We knew Maria was coming. We were told it was Category 2. That was the Saturday. Sunday, it was Category 2. Monday, around midday, we were told Category 3. So we started to really double up on the preparation and so on. At about, I think it was about 4 o'clock, my grandson called to tell me it was Category 4. And I said to him, no, it's Category 3. And then thereafter, well, I doubled up on my preparations. I went on the veranda, I did what I had to do there. I had done a lot of stuff in the house. I'd put my food aside and get my lighting and everything. And then it was confirmed by 7 p.m. that it was Category 5. And you know, I couldn't believe it. And then my friend called me and said, Alex, Category 5, you can't stay upstairs, you have to go downstairs. So I have a little sitting room downstairs that has a concrete roof. And that was about 9 o'clock. That was the last phone call I got on my landline. I went to my bedroom, I picked up 3 pillows and I sent them over the banister on the step. I gathered my two of my torchlights, and I got my comforter and I went downstairs. By the time I got downstairs, I felt a steamroller was somewhere in my yard coming at me. And strangely, Tenement Square came into my mind when this young man was crushed by the steamroller. I don't know how I made the connection. And you just kept hearing this thing coming, and I'm alone in the house, I'm downstairs. And you just hearing this thing coming at you, and this thing went on and on and on. I thought it would never stop, and you're hearing all kind of things. You're wondering what is going on outside and everything. And then all of a sudden, by about 3 minutes past midnight, I'm watching my time, it stopped. And I said, I wonder if it's the end or if it's the eye. In any case, I rushed upstairs to the bathroom, took the torchlight. I say, well, oh God, the roof gone. And I noticed that the 3 rooms were flooded. And, you know, it just panic set in. And then I realized by about midnight, about 12:30, it started again. And let me tell you, some people say it was worse the second time around. For me, it wasn't. But, you know, you just wondered when it would stop. So by about 3 p.m., it sort of calmed down, and I fell asleep. And to me, minutes later, I heard banging, and I'm wondering what is happening. But in fact, it was people who had tried to come inside my yard, up, jumping over trees. Bang. I thought it was the hurricane again. Banging. So, you know, you go through this rush of emotions, and it destabilizes your emotional equilibrium thereafter. Resilience can take many forms. Resilience for me is a determination that I'm not leaving Dominica. I'm going to stay here and see things through and do what I can to put Dominica back on track. That was my understanding of the resilience, that part that I had to play. But when you hear people talking about resilient people, well, I let down the side because in my heart of hearts, I was quaking. And you know, for the first 10 days, we were marooned. I live in Trafalgar, near the waterfalls, on the edge of the rainforest. You kept hearing stories about people. We knew people who were ill. The helicopter came and took them out. And we just kept wondering, when will I be able to go to town? About 7 or 8 days later, I was told that we were getting signal from one of the telephone companies, and I went on the hill. And I said, let me dial my daughter in Antigua. I got her, and I said to her, Andy, and she said, Mommy. And both of us started to cry, and then the signal went. So, but that was my first conversation. I did not know about my other daughter. So everybody kept telling me, don't worry, if anything had happened to her, you would have known already, because she lives in a place called Hillsborough. And, you know, you just kept wondering, listening to people. I had my little radio. I keep hearing people asking, how is Mrs. Knights, where is she, and all of that. And that, I was heartened that so many people were remembering me and wondering what had happened to me. So you have all these emotions coming into play on the same day. Then the realization that, boy, you can't watch TV for a long time again. Then the realization that, you know, one more time you have to carry a bucket of water. We in Trafalgar are very fortunate in that we have a lot of springs all over the village and different varying degrees of portableness. We know which ones can be used just for washing and cooking, and so then we know which ones can be used just, well, for cooking. And then we have the clear, very clear spring water, very tasty, I have to tell you, that you can drink. So in the village, we weren't so badly off for water. For the first 4 weeks, every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day, somebody comes and Manites, you have water? You're okay for water, how are you? And we had in my immediate neighborhood, we were cooking together and, you know, sharing what we had, and, you know, we had a nice community spirit going. One of the things that I did was that I have a generator, and I told the guy I'm not going to set it up until after the storm. When he came that same Tuesday and asked me if I'm going to set it up, I said, look, imagine me with a generator, and then you have people lower down in the school, 50 odd people, I'll send it for them. So I lent them my generator for the few weeks until my son-in-law needed it, so I took it back. But there was that kind of cooperation. There was another element taking place where the youngsters were very unruly, going and taking animals and killing them. And you know, you get a sense of, when you looked around and you saw what the devastation, you said, my God, let me take what I can, because heaven knows what is going to happen tomorrow. A sense of loss, a sense of despair, a sense of not having a future. You know, for example, on the 10th day when I went, no, well, before that I got to know that nothing happened to my chambers in town. Everything was fine, my roof stayed on and everything else. So that kind of made me feel a little better. But then, when you heard about the devastation and the loss of life, I mean, as far as I can recall, 29 people were actually dead, and at last count it was like 32 or so missing. And then you have all the older people who have been so traumatized that their pressure went up and all, and they're just dropping dead. I mean, since the hurricane, I know of at least 10 people who have passed away, and while one cannot with any great certainty attribute it to this storm, I have a feeling that it had to have contributed.
What resonated most with you from this workshop?
It's one thing to pass legislation and to have all these grandiose ideas. The most important thing of all is to sell all of that to the populace. That is the most important thing. If you cannot tell people you can't build here, and for them to answer you and tell you, that's my land, why can't I build on it? Then what is the purpose? When Erica hit, an entire village was destroyed, Petit Savan. That's where 30 people lost their lives, okay? And while that happened, there are people from Petit Savan who want to live there still. There were so many landslides at the place, you can't even make it out. But they tell you that's their land, that's where they have their plants and everything. You know, so any piece of legislation that affects people's livelihood and affects how they perceive things, that needs to be brought to the public as a very big campaign.